Hello and welcome to another Franchise Hockey Manager 6 stream. My name is Adam. I am the community manager. With me, as always, and pictured digitally on your screen is FHM producer Jeff. Say hi, Jeff.
Hey, everybody.
And we are back with our 1966 1967, the swinging 60s Vancouver Canucks game. Jeff, we are still terrible. What is going on?
We're terrible, but at least there's somebody else who's even more terrible than we are. We expanded by a couple of teams this year. I guess I should go back to the original premise. If you haven't seen this before, is the NHL expanded a little earlier than it did historically. We're using some of the new historical editing features that were added in FHM6. So we brought the Canucks in 1965, and then had a kind of a rough season with that. And so last year we added the two California teams, Los Angeles and the Oakland Seals. And at least Los Angeles is doing worse than we are. Somehow the Seals are ahead of even Boston. So I don't know how long that's going to last, but they're about 4 points up on us. But we've got we've played 5 or 6 more games than everybody else. So it's going to be tough getting back in this, and we're 18 points out of a playoff spot. Did we change the playoff system? I can't remember.
No, we did not. No,
it's. Okay, we'll have to.
I don't believe so.
I think we'll expand one more time. Well, next year it'll be the 67, 68, so we could do the part. Well, at least 3 more teams get it up to 6 and split it into 2 divisions and go with something kind of close to what the real NHL was at that point.
Yes, I should just say right now, Jeff, we are in fact live on Steam as well. So if you hear us answering questions from the chat, it might be coming from Steam or from our Twitch page. I'll try and clarify that as it does happen. And first, of course, Gudu popped in to say hi. So hi, Gudu. Thanks for coming out.
Okay, so we're just having a look at the scoring for us this year. At least we're getting a little bit more offense. Wayne Connolly's having a great year. 40 points, 46 games. Red Berenson also doing well. Eddie Shack, surprisingly. And future real-life Canuck Orland Kurtenbach also having a strong season. So, and we just, the change we made shortly before we finished last game, we wound up sending Terry Sawchuk down to the minors because we weren't able to, no one was interested in trading for him. Brought up Tony Esposito, who's doing reasonably well in goals so far, and Ed Jacquemin's having a pretty solid season too. So we're going to have decent goaltending in another year or two. We just need to find some scorers.
Yeah, well, we tried to get somebody in the draft, and that didn't work out very well.
Yeah, looking at our draft log. Guy Lapointe is... Oh, yeah, we got him down. He didn't develop that well off the start, so we brought him down with Victoria of the Western League. And Ernie Hicks, same thing. So didn't really get any immediate help. I think the likely number one overall in this upcoming draft is going to be Brad Park, but no draft lottery in this one, so we're not going to have a chance at that because I assume we're going to beat LA. And just going to stick with the same lineup because we finished last week or the week before off with a pretty good win. See if we can keep it up and extend that lead over the Kings. And we cannot. 6-2 loss. That's ugly. And we got somebody hurt. Johnny McKenzie. Just day-to-day with a groin strain, so no problem there. What am I doing? I'm looking for replaces. Willie O'Ree gets back in for a single game. Any other lineup changes we want to make? No, I think I'll leave that as it is.
So, Jeff,
switch again, Bob Wall for Barclay Plager. What was that?
Maybe just to throw out, in case this is somebody's first time tuning in, we are playing in 1966, so they might not recognize some of these names. But what are let's say the top 5 guys, somebody who's knows hockey might recognize, who's currently on our team.
Currently on our team?
Yes.
Well,
So
I don't know how
I see five.
recognizable our team is because this is, it's an expansion team,
Well, I
yeah,
think we
Tony
got five
Esposito,
players.
Hall of Fame goalie. Ed Jackman, also Hall of Fame for the Rangers. Esposito with the Hawks. Gary Bergman, pretty well respected defenseman, was on the 72 team Canada team. Carl Brewer, a longtime Leaf defenseman who retired kind of abruptly in his prime and wound up going back, getting his amateur status and going back and playing for the Canadian national team. Future Winnipeg Jets GM John Ferguson, and
And
father of future Toronto
uh,
Maple Leafs GM John Ferguson Jr. And let's see who else. Oh, yeah, Glenn Sather. I think most people would know him from the Rangers and Oilers, who's just getting started in his career and not off to a great start with us. No goals yet in the last 2 years.
yeah, well, I asked for five, and I think you went over, but I think you missed two more notable names, which would be Red Berenson, who, of course, played in the NHL for a long time and was head coach at Michigan
Yeah, for quite a while.
for a very long time. And of course, you mentioned him just a few seconds before I asked you the question, which was Willie O'Ree.
Oh, yeah, first black player in NHL history. So he's actually made it back into the NHL at this point. Willie O'Ree actually had a really interesting career. He made after those first few games in what was I can't remember what year in the 50s. He was with Boston, but hung around in the minors for a really long time after that, and even when he was I think pushing 40 or might have even been 40 at that point. Was I think the second or third leading scorer on the Islanders farm team. He wasn't signed to the Islanders, but he was had a contract with the AHL team, but the first year the Islanders were in the league. So he was still a viable NHL player going into his late 30s, and we've just gotten blown out for the third game in a row. Although at least we've got McKenzie back. But this is not looking good. I'm going to have to shuffle, I think, the lines around a little bit more. Take Sather out for a game, I think.
Actually,
See if it does any
yeah, I
better with
guess
McCreary.
again, if you tuned in, Jeff, we've also kind of made fun of the fact we've taken pretty much every head coach or GM we possibly could on
Yeah.
this team.
So, I mean, if these guys all retire and go into coaching with us, we'll be in good shape in about 20 years from now.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm
I mean
giving
we have
Tony
guys like
Esposito the start against Boston, and we at least got a point out of it. 3-3 tie.
is it? We have Dennis Hextall and Brian Hextall in the minors too right now.
And Whitowich is back from suspension, so he can go in for Wall. Anything I want to do on the lines here? Nothing really standing out. Flip Bergman and Brewer, try that. I don't know how well that's going to make much of a difference. And give Esposito another start. So he did well, even though it is back-to-back. And a 5-2 win. So is Tony
Excellent.
Esposito taking over as our number one goalie already?
Well, it seemed likely that he would at some point.
Yep, Jacqueline's 4 or 5 years older than him, but is still on paper better, at least this point, right now. Yeah, by quite a bit, 4 stars versus 2 stars. But Esposito's hot, so let's stick with him for now. And another 3-3 tie against Boston. Boston, who actually has, I assume he's in the lineup but not hurt. Yeah, this is Bobby Orr's rookie year. So they are going to get a lot better than that 7th place finish they're in right now, although I think this is, we started this prior to the Esposito trade, so I don't know if they're ever going to get as good as they were in real life, because the Hawks are going to presumably, yeah, there he is. They're still hanging on to Phil Esposito. So that big Bruins Hawks trade in the late '60s that kind of built the Bruins teams hasn't happened, may not happen. So the Hawks may stay better for longer, and I don't know if the Bruins will ever get quite as good as they were. Okay, let's give Jockman a chance at redeeming himself here against the Kings. And we lose again, although it's only 3-2, and we outshot him pretty badly. And we're only 3 points up on them, and they've got 4 games in hand. Maybe we will get that first overall pick.
Fingers crossed.
AI wants to start Esposito against Montreal, so I'll go along with that. And another 2-2 tie. And it looks like we tied that one with the goalie out, didn't we? Yeah, 21 seconds remaining. Claude LaRose, former Canadian.
Half the league is former Canadians.
Yeah, true. And ouch, Carl Brewer just got a 4-game suspension for something in that game.
That hurts.
At least we move him back to the second pair. Okay, let's try Esposito against the team he'd eventually wind up with, the Hawks. And yet another 2-2 tie. So Tony Esposito is really good at getting us single points.
Well, it's better than nothing.
Minor trade between Rangers and Leafs. We're probably coming up on the trading deadline here too. I think I gotta check that. League events. It's March 1st. We're only at January 24th, so we got some time yet.
What's that? You want to try and trade for Gordie Howe?
Yeah, let's take the guy who's 40 and would be retired soon in real life.
Excuse me, he's 38.
38, sorry.
And it's 1966, so he's still got a few more years there, Jeff.
No, he retired, what was it, 68? 69?
No.
It might have been oh, yeah, no, later than I thought, yeah. Because he was only gone for a year or two.
I believe he retired in 1972, but I'm just going to double check that.
And 2-1 loss to the Rangers, although that one's not Jackman's fault. He got outshot 49-25. It was actually the first star in that game.
Okay, sorry. He retired in 1970.
Somebody's
71.
On waivers, but it's just, I don't know, Carl Wetzel from Montreal. Not a big deal.
71, and then he came back in the WHA in 73, I believe.
Although Wetzel is apparently interesting enough that the Leafs picked him up. So that was enough to warm Jackman up a little bit. Try him again against Detroit. And he comes up with a 3-1 win finally. And the Wings going with a Swedish goalie, Leif Holmqvist.
Interesting. Now, at this point, Jeff, there was virtually no Europeans in the NHL, in the real NHL, correct?
Yeah, very few. I think Yaroslav Jurek, Czech, would play the following year for a few games for St. Louis. And, there are a few European-born guys, but not nobody that was trained. Ulf Sterner had been with the Rangers 3 or 4 years before, but it would be another... when did Salming and Hammerstrom come to the Leafs? I think that was 72 or 73. Another 5 years or so.
Yeah. And of course, the WHA influence brought in even more.
Oh, that's not good. Esposito and Plager are injured, so they're only day-to-day at least, so hopefully they'll be ready for the next game, because I think we got a bit of a break now.
Well, we get a chance to call up... it's not like we have a bad third goalie.
Oh, I think we hit the All-Star break here. Another good development report, although John Ferguson, again, starting to decline a little earlier than we'd like. It's only 28.
Well, I mean, this is when we'd send him down to the AHL for
And
or whatever the
Esposito,
farm team
fortunately, is
would be.
healthy. Yeah.
It wouldn't actually be the AHL at this. Well, some teams are in the AHL, but some teams would be in other leagues.
And Orland Kurtenbach managed to get himself injured in practice, must have been. Viral infection. Early version of the coronavirus.
Yeah, it's cool. It's an interesting debate with a lot of sport franchises right now. Like, I mean, on the baseball side, you have what Japan announcing they're playing their games in front of nobody in the stadiums or all the rest of their spring games.
Yep. You're going to
And
wonder if the
then
NFL or NHL and NBA in particular are getting a little nervous that they're going to have to do something similar.
I'm sure they are. The Swiss, what I think the Swiss have started restricting, and or did they push it back 2 weeks? One of the leagues pushed it back 2 weeks.
I'm going to start Esposito against Detroit because I think Gordie Howe's out and we may be safe, but nope, 5-1 loss. Howe may be out, but they've still got plenty of other guys who can score. And Carl Brugger is finally back from suspension. And about 3 weeks out from the trade deadline. Actually, I'm going to try swapping McCreary, put O'Ree on the left side. See if that works. And I'm just going to have a quick look at the minor leagues to see if anybody, Bob Sutherland is 1.5 stars. But nobody really looks like they've developed enough at this point to merit a call up. Although I will try moving Sawchuk again at the trading deadline, maybe we'll get an offer for him. Try Jockman against New York. And a 3-1 loss, which puts us... Well, leaves us in exactly the same place, although everybody else, thanks to that break we had, has closed up that gap on game advantages. So Oakland continuing to do surprisingly well. A quick look at them. What's going on there? Don't have a ton of scoring. Are the goalies doing really good?
And you debated putting Oakland in.
Yeah, solid goaltending. Gump Worsley and Les Binkley. Couple of old fat guys in goal. Okay. Esposito back against the Bruins because he seems to do pretty well against them. And wow, 7-2 win over Boston. 4 assists from Wayne Connolly. I think that's our biggest win so far in this game. Kind of weak game ratings from Nadia other than Gary Bergman. Gudu asking in chat if we had ever had Gordie Howe. Didn't we trade for Gordie Howe, like old Gordie Howe, 1 year in a game?
I'm trying to think here. Yes, I think we did. We traded for like 40 or 49-year-old Gordie Howe.
And then he immediately retired the year after? Or the summer,
but
following
we
summer?
knew that was going to happen. We didn't give up a lot. Was that with the... I was going to say, was that with the Jets? But I don't know for sure if that was.
Might have been.
I don't think it
Can't
was.
remember.
I'm trying to remember all the classics ones we've done over the years. It's been a while. We did add a young Gordie Howe for the Kings, I want to say, Gudo says.
Oh, yeah, we did cheat that one time where we were just showing off the player importer.
Yeah, no, but we definitely did trade for him in a historical game. We had a Kings.
Yeah, I remember that
game.
too. And so much for the Willie O'Ree experiment. He got hurt. So Glenn Sater's going in.
I'll take your word for that, Goody, because I honestly can't remember. It's been a long. We've been doing this. Geez, Jeff, this is we. I think we've now officially passed our 5-year anniversary of doing YouTube streams.
Is it 5 or 4?
Twitch streams.
Can't remember. Did we start with FHM 2?
2015. It was FHM 2 we started with.
So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's 5, I guess.
Yeah, 5 years of doing FHM stream.
Well, happy anniversary, Adam.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. Glad to be here this long. I think it was the Kings during the 70s, Goody.
Okay, going to change goalies up against the Bruins just to see what happens, and we lose 4-0, so let's not do that again. Oh, did we finally fall back to... Oh, no, we're still 6 points up on LA. 8 games to go. Another 10 days before the trading deadline. Minor trade between Boston and Montreal. Slightly bigger one. The Leafs moving Carl Wetzel. They just got on waivers to the Bruins for, I guess, Rosaire Paiement is the major pickup there, although it's, again, pretty much all minor leaguers moving around. And Gordie Howe's point streak finally ends. Was he leading the league in scoring? No, Bobby Hall with a pretty good 7-point lead, a little lead over Jean Beliveau. And I do not see... Oh, no, Wayne Connolly, number 5 in the league in goals.
All right.
So we finally got somebody on the charts on Gary Bergman and Carl Brewer are 1-2 in shots blocked. Although that's mainly, the result of us getting a lot of shots directed at our end. Okay, Esposito in goal against the Leafs. 3-1 loss.
Okay, I went back to look, and we started an LA Kings. There we go. It was the...
Oh, was that the one? Maybe the one we got? Oh, no, that
Kings
wasn't the one we got.
71-72 season we traded for him. Part 10, and that was FHM 3, Jeff. Goody, you've got a good memory.
And a 6-4 win over Oakland. So they may be ahead of us, but we can beat them.
Just going back to
5 points for Red Berenson.
All of our streams are archived on our YouTube channel. This stream was from July 8th, 2017. Or July 5th, 2017, sorry. Oh, no, I take it back. That was he got injured and came back. Right. So we traded for him before that. Okay. Ah, there we go. Mr. Hockey comes to Hollywood.
Oh, so it was only a couple of years ago.
May 24th, 2017. A few years ago. Yeah.
Quite a few trades as we head up to the deadline. Oh, wait, I didn't go past
Think
it.
of all the important information you could retain, Gudu, and yet you remembered that.
Oops, I think I screwed up here. I went past the day past the trading deadline. I wasn't paying attention.
Ah, Jeff.
Not that we probably could have done that much anyhow.
Probably not.
Because we don't really have anything that's interesting to anyone, and we didn't get any offers on Sawchuk, who I'm guessing is probably going to retire towards the end of the year.
I don't know.
So I think we'll just get this ahead to the off season.
Add at least one team to give us 10 at least. Balance it out. Assuming you don't get fired.
Yeah, I should probably check on the job security. We're into the orange. Not good. Fans are very unhappy too.
So Gudu, thanks for that. You've been around a long time, I guess.
Try Esposito in goal against the Kings. Well, finally gets a point for us at least. 4-4 tie.
All right, Jeff. Just some quick math here. I'd say we've probably done pretty close to 250 streams.
Yeah, well, there's a few weeks we haven't done one, so it's probably not quite up to that, but a couple hundred
Well,
at
no,
least, I
no
guess.
5 times 52 is 260, so that would be 8 times without streams. That'd be pretty close. Plus, there's weeks that I've done multiple streams, so
Oh
we'd
yeah,
be
that's
pretty
true.
close. I bet you'd be hanging around 250. There you go, Gudu. There's your project for next week. You can go back and count every single stream we did and see how much we've improved.
Well, I probably sound better. We've got better equipment now.
Yes, JT Dutch in the chat of Twitch says the fans are actively hanging you in effigy at this point.
I just won again against the Kings, so I've managed to screw up our number one draft pick.
If we do know one thing, JT Dutch, it's that Vancouver riots if things don't go well.
True. And we've actually cleaned it's a 70-game schedule, so they're not going to be able to catch us. So we're not finishing last this year, at least. One game against the Rangers, and there should be one more after that. Narrow 3-2 loss against New York, not too bad. Although Carl Brewer managed to get hurt, we'll probably miss the. Bobby Hull going down with a major injury. Oh no, it's Dennis Hull. Wrong Hull. Dennis Hull in his rookie season gets hurt.
Oh no.
And okay, yeah, Brewer is going to have to sit out. Bob Wall in for him. And what happened to Red Berenson? Sprained his ankle. So Andre Lacroix gets in for the last game of the season.
Jeff, do you think we should expand? Get to 10 teams?
10 teams or 12 teams?
You want to add 3 teams at once? Ooh.
Yeah, and we closed out with a 3-2 loss against Boston.
I think if we add teams, I if we only add 1, or even if we add 3, I think one of them's got to be the Minnesota No Stars.
Yeah, definitely. Just checking the award nominees. Nothing so far. Amazingly, we didn't get nominated for GM of the Year.
I am shocked. Shocked, I tell you.
Oh, that's giving out that leadership award in the 60s. I've got to deactivate that for those years. Make a note. But yeah, everything is all Blackhawks and Red Wings.
Not very surprising.
And that's the way the standings wound up. Looks like the Leafs didn't make it. Hawks, Rangers, Wings, and Canadiens in the playoffs. Oakland having a decent run. And Los Angeles, at least, is even more terrible than we are. And looks like the Hawks are about to finish their series off. And they have. So Chicago will win the final, and the Rangers are 1 game up over the Canadiens. But now that's tied, going to game 7. And my game ran so fast that actually I can do this. Game 7, Montreal and the Rangers, and Cesar Maniago, another future Canuck goalie, shuts the Rangers or the Canadiens out 4-0.
Kudu points out Kings minus 113 goal differential.
I didn't notice that. That's not great. So New York, Chicago final. Good for TV ratings, I guess. Oh, that was over quick. The Hawks win it in 5. So who was it last season? Toronto won last season, didn't even make the playoffs the following year. So Chicago with their first cup since 1961. Not surprisingly, because that's a really loaded team right now. Bobby Hull winning the Conn Smythe. And Gwen Hall gets the Vezina. Bobby Orr, not surprisingly, winning the Calder Trophy. Rookie of the Year. He's up to 5 stars already. That's kind of terrifying.
I mean, the dude was good and very good. And it's amazing how good he was for how hurt he seemingly was most of the time.
Yeah, and all postseason All-Star teams, not surprisingly, we didn't have anybody on them. Take a look at how our scoring looked like. Esposito made it up to 2.5 stars. So you got an extra half star there. Right. Wayne Connolly with 62 points. Red Berenson with 55, so not at all unhappy with that. That's good news. And reasonably solid scoring after that. 30s and 40s. Hampson, Shack, Ferguson, Kurtenbach have made it to 30 points. We could use some scoring off the D, which is where Brad Park would really help, but I don't think we're going to get him unless LA does something weird with their pick.
Well, no, if we're adding teams, they're going to get bumped down.
Oh, right, yeah. So
you
because the draft is after, and it's historical. It's after the season ends, and I've got to check for it. Wasn't thinking.
As a Yotes fan, the Kings should be terrible every year, so he'll be happy to see them not get who they want in the draft.
I'm just updating their team data for the final update. It's going to be coming up very shortly, and I notice they're sitting on like 10 million in cap penalties this year between retained salary and other stuff. And
who's that?
Next year is similar too, so that's kind of ugly. So definitely have some contract renewals here we got to do. Berenson is going to take 27 for 3 years. Perfect. No, like these guys have a lot of options. There's no unrestricted free agency. Let's see. Keith McCrory's making 7 right now. And we do need a depth. Okay, he wants a $400 raise. I guess we can afford that.
What?
Oh, Wayne Connolly, our best player, leading scorer, is going to have... Oh, wow. He only wants a $3,000 raise, so perfectly happy to give him that. And Forbes Kennedy, who's kind of dropped off for us. I don't think I'm going to offer him a new contract. 5 points in 52 games. He's 31 years old. We're probably better off using that spot for either Andre Lacroix or one of the other younger guys. So he can... Oh, he may wind up getting taken in the expansion draft too. And minor leaguers, Sawchuk, I don't think will offer a new contract. Well, nope, he doesn't want to renew his contract. He's...
Question in the chat from JT Dutch says, can you change the expansion team's position in their first entry draft, or are they always going to be at the top of it?
In the entry draft, no, it'll always be at the top. I think we've got it hard-coded. If you do the historical expansions, it'll put them in the right place. But no, you can't manually change that. Oops, Brian Hextall's contract is about to expire. We don't want that. Oh, he isn't going to talk to us right now, so he's going to hold out too. Yeah. And everybody else appears to be... So I think we're going to theoretically lose up to 3 guys. Or they're going to... Well, actually, we'll still have their rights. There's no unrestricted free agency at this point.
Well, our scoring problem could be fixed if we're lucky. Looking at the draft.
We'll be drafting, if we add 3, we're going to be drafting 5th.
Well, I know. I'm just looking though, but a guy who's ranked really low, and I'm not sure why, Jeff, is of course the Riverton Rifle.
Reggie Leach.
Yeah, he's only got 1.5 potential.
Oh, and Dick Duff, who we totally forgot about him. What did he do to himself? Yeah, blew out his knee at the start of the season. And he's still got a year in his contract, so he can finally come off the injury list after the season ends. And well, both of the other expansion teams fired their coaches, but we didn't lose our job.
Well, we know why though.
Surprisingly, the Seals firing was Patrick after a pretty decent first year. But okay, here's how it goes. Billy Ray got fired from Los Angeles, and he immediately goes into the open Seals job. And the Kings job goes to Doug Harvey, who played for us last year and is, I guess, retired now.
Makes sense.
Oh, Hall of Fame nominees. I think I will go with Max Bentley to add to that list. Not a whole lot to do in the off-season until we get to July. Development report, decent. Ferguson declining again. Wow, I'm surprised he's still at 2.5 stars. He keeps going down.
Dafford's being awfully patient, more patient than he was with the city of Vancouver, apparently. JT Dutch says.
Filling out my Hall of Fame ballot. Elmer Locke. Go with Babe Pratt and old-time goalie Clint Benedict.
You mean the first goalie ever to wear a mask, Clint Benedict?
Yeah. And looks like we got a runoff election, and 2 of the guys we voted for are into it. So I'm going to have to go with Elmer Locke over Benedict, though. And he's going to have another runoff with him and Bill Quackenbush. Does he get in? It comes down to Quackenbush, and we can either not vote against him, which can potentially mean nobody gets in, or vote for him, but will be nice and vote. And here's our end of season summary. This is going to be ugly. Well, at least we didn't. Hey, we got 4 points this year as opposed to our big 0 last year.
Fantastic.
But still not enough to get us any improvement in our stats. So that is the end of 66-67. And 68 and Terry Sawchuk indeed did retire. And looks like the Wings have retired his number. So theoretically we'd be drafting 2nd in the entry draft. Word confidence update. Oh, we're supposed to stay out of the bottom quarter.
I believe in us.
Okay, so who are we adding?
I think we should add the Minnesota North Stars,
Yeah, for sure.
which again, now, Jeff, for someone who wants to add the Minnesota North Stars, if they click on add historical team, they're not there. What do they need to do?
You've got to click onto the Dallas on Dallas Stars. I was just the way we got this set up. There's no easy way to tell that they're the North Stars in this season, but if I do that, there we go. We got the North Stars, and they'll be in their correct colors.
Yes. I would also think my personal feeling was we should probably add the Broad Street Bullies.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then just to maybe kind of help beef up the West, we might as well add the 2019 Stanley Cup champions.
The Blues. Well, it's either so we're actually basically we're losing one of the real expansion teams. It's got to be either the Blues or the Penguins. But I don't know. St. Louis was kind of a weird addition to the real expansion. It wasn't really that expected, and it was kind of some backroom stuff going on with the Norris family, who apparently had, I think it was a silent interest in the St. Louis arena.
I don't
But
disagree,
so it's
but
them or Pittsburgh.
well, I think adding the Penguins in 70 make more sense.
Come in with Buffalo. Uh, and we don't necessarily have to do a geographical split in the divisions.
No, but for me, again, messing around myself. I had my second division be St. Louis, Oakland, LA, Vancouver, Minnesota.
And the early Blues uniforms look better than the early Penguins ones, too.
That is also very
Also a
true.
consideration. Although I didn't set it up properly in this, I didn't think of that before we started. I'll get it for next time. But so they're just going to have the generic uniforms to start with.
What, the hockey? No, they should have them if you have the pack installed.
I didn't change the years. Oh no, it's the we're in the
No,
right year now.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
no, yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
we
right
will, they
years.
will have the
That's,
correct ones.
I mean, not even the pack; they're in the game. Sorry,
Okay, and I think I'm going to split the league into two divisions.
I put Philadelphia into with the West teams. That was the other thing, and basically created much like the NHL really did was put in all the expansion teams in one division and put all the
Yeah, well, let's do it a little
original six
differently
in the
from
other.
this. We'll try to keep the Western teams in the West for the most part, but
Well, that's what I basically did, with the exception of Philly. But I suppose you could move Chicago over
Chicago would make sense.
and then leave Philly.
That's weird. It's not scrolling down to the show the other team. Vancouver, Chicago, St. Louis, I guess Detroit, and Minnesota in the West. That makes sense too. And oh wait, no, Detroit's probably gonna have to go back.
No, I said my West was St. Louis, Oakland, LA, Vancouver, Minnesota, Philly. But you could replace Philly and leave Chicago there. And so Division One is Montreal, Toronto, Boston, Detroit, New York, Philly.
And then Vancouver, Chicago, St. Louis, Minnesota, LA, and Oakland in the West.
But before you go to the expansion drafts, you should go back right away and go to rules.
And set the playoffs up.
And you can set it so everybody can make the playoffs and have a good time.
That's a little too easy. I think we'll just do the basic 8 teams in the playoffs, 4 in each division make it, because we'll actually have a shot at making that, I think.
I was thinking I was thinking that might even be a little bit much. I was thinking 6 teams and 3 per division.
Nah, I think we'll go with the 8.
Just trying to boost your stats, huh? That's all
Basically.
we always need to know.
Also, let's go with a longer schedule this year. Let's take it up to 76 games.
Do you want to change the amount of interdivision games?
Let's see, 3. maybe bump that up to 4. That way you're playing 24 against the other division and 52 against your own. So that's, yeah, that seems about in the right ballpark. No salary cap. Trading's fine the way it is. Gonna stick with that 18-man roster. All right, the 18 players dressed for a little while, I think.
Yeah. So now I think with adding 3 teams, you better make sure you're part of the, or don't exclude yourself for the expansion draft.
Yeah, but I think only fair to exclude LA and Oakland.
Nah, Oakland was too good. They should be able to rob those guys. Rob everybody.
Okay,
It's 3 teams. There's not enough players if you don't.
yeah, true enough. So the default is protecting 1 goalie, 3 defensemen, 7 forwards. That enough? Too much? I mean, we are adding
I
3
was thinking
teams
we
here.
should, if we're doing this true NHL style, it should be protect 2 goalies and 4 defensemen and 8 forwards.
I'm going to take a quick look around the league to see. No, I want to look at the minor league. I think we better do 1 goalie because I'm not sure there's enough available otherwise, especially when you consider that some of these guys might not be
Well, there's lots in free
eligible
agency,
for the draft.
but all right.
Can do 1 goalie, but let's bump it up to 4 defensemen and 8 forwards protected, since that
Makes
is a
sense.
little easier. Maximum players lost per team.
I think 50 makes sense.
Yeah. So these guys are going to be drafting. It's 25
Okay,
rounds.
so cut it down to 25. The
We need
maximum amount of guys
75
you can use is
players,
25.
and we're going to have 7 teams participating. I'm going to take it down to 15.
15,
Should
but
keep
that
it.
means they're going to rob us a lot. And they're going to rob the LA Kings and Oakland. Wouldn't it be better to leave it up so they actually rob like Detroit and Boston?
I'm leaving the Kings and Oakland out of this.
Oh, that's terrible, Jeff. Put them
That's
as
fair.
part,
We
but
got it last year.
you put them as part of it and just keep the number higher.
Okay. 20. I'll exclude. No, let them in. And use an age-based exemption. We'll leave anybody who's 20 or younger out of it. Good enough?
The draft age has turned to 20, right? So yeah, that's
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, 20 is fine.
21 maybe?
Okay, 21.
Looks like St. Louis will be drafting first.
Reselect that order.
And got to generate a schedule too. Or did I do that already? Don't remember.
When you change the playoffs, it automatically generated a schedule again.
Huh. And surprisingly enough, Ed Snyder winds up as the GM of the Flyers. So they get their real GM.
Hmm.
Harry
You say
Sinden
that,
in
that did not happen in my game.
St. Louis.
Ed Snyder was named for St. Louis, and Scotty Bowman was named for Philly.
Howie Meeker running the North Stars.
Yep, there he is.
It gives us the weird names because those are the original.
Degenerate is a fictional
Yeah, the
team.
generated expansion names. I got to see if we can change that maybe.
So now we're drafting all the way down on 7th.
Oh, and what's the? Oh, okay. Then we got to do our protected list.
I was going to say, before you do that, you should maybe take a quick look at free agency.
Good point. Not that there's anything in there.
Well, there's a few goalies with some
I think,
possibility.
yeah, maybe actually we should grab Ernie Wakely. Is there a better potential one? Oh, Gary Simmons is down there too.
Yeah, at 22, he might be the better bet.
Okay, I'm going to offer him a contract just because we lost Sawchuk to retirement.
Now,
And
Jeff,
I'm going to take Frank St. Marseille just as depth. What were you
I
going to
don't
say?
know this off the top of my head, but never mind. I found out the answer myself.
Okay, and future Kansas City scout Chris Evans. And let's see if any of the guys that left us. Actually, I'm going to let Forbes Kennedy walk. And see if
Well, you
Brian
could
Hextall wants to talk now. Yeah, he does.
that somebody else could don't let go of them. Let them be go to the expansion draft, so they could get selected and protect somebody else on our list.
Say again?
I said you should not be letting them go. Let the other teams have a chance to grab them in the expansion draft.
I'm wondering, should we try to move one of our goalies because we're going to lose one of these guys in the expansion draft?
Try to move who? Sorry, I missed what you said.
Esposito or Jacquemin?
I would rather hold on to Tony O.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Let's see what we can get for him. Get for Jacquemin. Ouch, virtually nothing. Oh, but the Blues offer us their first rounder.
And that is immediately worth it.
That is some Sam Pollock style stuff there. Like the Canadians grabbing the expansion team's draft picks for nothing. I'm doing that.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, it works out good for them. They're guaranteed their starting goalie, and we get that first round pick. Okay, so let's see what happens in the expansion draft. Oh, whoops, I forgot to do my protected list. Quickly gonna get that in. Kenzie, Ferguson, Bergman, Hampson, Connolly, Kurtenbach, Fleming, and I guess Whitowich too. Yeah, that's all of our defensemen. Claude LaRose is one of the forwards now. One spot left, and I think we might be able to get by without losing Dennis Hextall, so I'm not going to protect him. But it comes down to Eddie Shack or Dick Duff or Andre Lacroix.
Dick Duff, if he's healthy, obviously.
Well, he's still 1.5 stars. Shack's such a fun guy, though. He's a year younger. Okay, we'll stick with Duff. And Oakland and Chicago making a trade. Bob Bond and Roy Edwards headed to the Hawks for Dave Dryden. So St.
Hmm.
Louis or Oakland gets a little younger in goal.
Bob Bond on the move again.
And just letting the AI do the draft. So let's watch for Canucks here. Jerry Cheever's changing teams again, winds up in St. Louis. So they've got a pretty good starting doing goal. We lost Wayne Hillman to St. Louis.
We're
Barton
gonna lose
Flager to
somebody.
Minnesota. And Bob Wall to the Flyers. So we got cleaned out of the lower end of our defensemen. And minor leaguer Doug Roberts to the Flyers. Willie O'Ree to the Flyers. And Keith McCreary to the North Stars. So we didn't really take, I think that's the last of ours.
How many?
Cliff Schmotz to the Blues. Yeah, it's just basically our minor leaguers and low end defensemen. How many what?
How many did L.A. or Oakland lose?
Oakland. Let's see. There was one, Bill McCreary. L.A. lost Ab McDonald. Kind of surprising that they left him open. Larry Kahan, no, Bill White. Wow, went from Oakland to L.A. They should have left him. Should have had him protected. And Oakland lost. The goalies. Dave Dryden, who they just traded for, wound up. They didn't protect him, and he wound up in Philadelphia. So let's see. Flyers look like this. Dave Dryden, wow, that's nobody better than 2 stars. Bob Leiter, who's a decent Atlanta Flame for a couple of years. And one of our cast-offs, Larry Hillman, are their best defensemen, 2 best players. St. Louis, great goaltending. Cheevers and Jacquin, 2 future Hall of Famers in goal. And after that, wow, that's just as bad as the Flyers were. And the Stars, nope, that's not Don Cherry, it's Dick Cherry, his brother. Love that shade of green. And the Stars look like, yeah, they got Bill White from Oakland. No idea why they didn't protect him. He's probably the best skater taken in the draft. And yeah, Minnesota might be the best out of those 3. But we'll see what happens in the draft, in the entry draft. Sorry, the amateur draft. Won't be the entry draft for
This
another
is a
dozen years.
pretty big wasteland. Oh, we can draft B or right defenseman.
Problem is, it's Billy Orr, not Bobby Orr. So we get the 3rd pick overall with that trade from St. Louis, and we got the 5th as well. So we're going to get somebody decent.
Valery Karlamov.
That's probably not a guy who's going to be defecting anytime soon, so that seems like a bad idea. Brad Park,
Why?
not surprisingly, goes first to the Flyers.
Of course.
Which leaves us at number 3, just going by potential. Chico Resch, available in goal, but
I'm thinking Rene Robert would be a good pick.
Rene Robert, part of the French Connection in Buffalo.
No, you got to stay with the English tone here, Jeff. That's why I went with it.
Another Sabre, Don Luce, good 2-way center, but we don't really need another center, I don't think. Where's Leach on this list?
He's not. I was wrong. He's 17, so he's not good for this draft.
He's not in this one, yeah.
Yes. I forgot they went up.
Yeah, I think you got to go with Rene Robert because he's the only winger up near the top, and that's what we need, really.
Yeah, I was just kind of going through this, but I mean, yeah, the guy for the next pick, I do have a thought on. I don't know if
Kings
they're going
take
to like
Don
it though.
Luce, as they probably should have. Who are you thinking for the next one?
I think we should go overseas for the next pick.
Inga Hammerstrom?
I was looking at Vili-Pekka Katola.
Control Finnish national team center for a long time. He didn't come over until he was kind of over the hill with Colorado in the early 80s.
Yeah,
But no, he's only two
good
stars,
player.
though.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at what's out there. I mean, I guess Potvin, I guess probably still hasn't.
Yeah, Jean Potvin. Actually, I think I'm going to go with Jerry Korab, just
Or you
because,
could we could continue our style of picking GMs and coaches and take Jimmy Rutherford.
or Guy Chiron.
Yes, Rick Dudley is also in this draft.
May do that in the second round. I think we got to take Korab in this one just to keep, because we lost all those lower end defensemen.
All right, all right. Well, then we should still probably draft Bior.
And yeah, I think the other teams cleaned up pretty good in the second round.
Well, Picol if Vili is still there, I think we should probably take him, knowing he could become a scorer for us.
Yeah, okay, kind of a long term project, but let's go with
Well,
it.
he's 1 star, 2 star potential. I mean, that's not that bad for what we have.
And that's it for the draft. And we're running low on time here, so I'll just get those two guys, the three draftees, signed. Korab wants a
Okay,
reasonable
I
amount.
definitely know we had that guy in a different game, which was uh, Seppo Repo. However you say that.
I think
I
that's
think
how
that
you
was
say
close.
it.
We definitely had him on a team somewhere. I know that.
Don't think he ever played in the NHL. I think that was he was only a WHA guy. And did any free agents slip through the draft that we might want to grab?
Well, Seppo Repo. Also, that would also help Katola feel less lonely.
Yeah, another Finnish guy might not be a bad idea.
Well, if they both turn out, hey,
Trying to find Repo in here. Not on the free agents list. Did he get drafted in this game?
it's possible, I guess. He didn't in mine. Oh, but maybe he goes back into the draft pool?
Oh, no, there he is. I must have just missed him on the free agent list. Oh, no, not possible to sign him. Okay, so I guess he's. Oh, yeah, because I think the draft age changes. I've got it set up so the players who don't get drafted go back into the pool for this year.
That makes sense.
Okay, just going to continue a little bit until we get everybody signed. We did get Gary Simmons signed as a free agent.
I'm not shocked by that. Did you take a look at the trade block, see if there's anybody interesting?
Can do that in a second.
Well, there's one interesting guy that we don't need, at least in my game.
Oh, we lost Frank Marseille, St. Marseille to the Leafs. Transactions, trading block. Who was the interesting guy in your game?
Goaltender Charlie Hodge.
Not in this one, but Glenn Hall is available from the Hawks. Somewhat surprisingly, but he's a 5-star He's 5 stars and he's 35 years old, so we would have to give up a ton to get him, and he'd probably retire within a couple of years. So
Oh, Charlie Hodge is what 33 in this game, so he's probably not gonna stick around for forever either.
I wonder why the Hawks are looking at. Oops.
Yeah, you have Cheevers.
No, they lost him in this one in the expansion draft.
Oh, they lost.
Just
Oh,
Roy Edwards. It's odd that they'd want to be trading Hall.
Dave Dryden.
Nope, he's gone too.
Oh, they got beat up. They're still in this game.
And they actually lost quite a few guys in the expansion draft. Their bottom half isn't looking that impressive anymore. And the Bruins are kind of coming along. And Gordie Howe didn't retire.
Gordie Howe forever. And just because you said that, P-Wog showed up.
Just as we're looking at the Wings. Although they're lagging a little behind. Did Toronto get any better this offseason? Still got Frank Mahovlich, Dave Keon. Yeah, their core is pretty much intact. I'm going to take a quick last look at the amateur draft log. I didn't see who everybody got. Resch went to the Bruins. Guy Chiron to Toronto. Gilles Gilbert to Montreal. Jean Potvin to the Wings. Another future coach, Rick Lay, goes to the Blues. But okay, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I think we're going to make the playoffs this year.
Well, considering you stacked it against us, I mean...
How'd they stack it against us?
I mean, stacked it for us. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, exactly. Because we've got the two, two completely new expansion teams, and two expansion teams from 2 years, and the defending Stanley Cup champions who've lost a bunch in the expansion draft. But I think we've got a shot here. And JD Dutch in that chat. Are they... team finances? No, it's close enough. They should be okay once they start sending guys down to the minors because they drafted 25 players each and they're only going to be playing 23. The Flyers are in a little better shape. I think they'll be. Okay, although I may need to take a look at some point and adjust those budgets up a little bit in the database.
Yeah. Well, we've gone on here for over 70 minutes.
Let's just be on the safe side and I'll boost them a little bit.
Should we wrap it up here?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just fixing the budgets.
All right. Thank you very much for tuning in to another Franchise Hockey Manager stream. We typically stream every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/OOTP Developments. All of our streams are archived on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/OOTP Development. You can also reach out to us on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Franchise Hockey Manager. On Twitter, we're at Franchise Hockey, where you can also find a link to our official Discord in our Twitter bio. Of course, you can come on down to our official website, which is ootpdevelopments.com. Click on the community button in the top right-hand corner, which will bring you to official forums where you can come talk about Franchise Hockey Manager, Out of the Park Baseball, Perfect Team, and anything else. And I guess since we haven't mentioned it at all, otherwise, Out of the Park Baseball 21 launches very soon. And Jeff, how many days is it? It's not that many anymore.
And I just realized I forgot to save all the changes I made. I don't remember what the exact date is, but we're getting close within the next couple of weeks, I think.
Yes, and if you order it soon, right now, you'll get access to the game even a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
So
just finishing up here, and we've also got the final update coming up for FHM 6, which is as soon as I finish, as soon as we sign off here, I'm going back to doing some work on that. We're originally hoping to get it out towards the end of this week. Looks like it's going to slip into the beginning of next week instead, but we're going to be putting that out very soon. So keep an eye out for that.
All right. So, yes, definitely be watching our forums and our social media pages as that comes up. Other than that, we'll be back next week again with our Minnesota Wild Thing stream. We are in 2021, 2022 with a completely remade Minnesota Wild team. And I think we might have finally found a way to win some games, but I'm not 100% sure yet. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's looking better at least. Yeah, so thanks everybody for coming out, and we will be back again next week.